Welcome everybody to session 3 of Yoga for Self-Care. So our topic this evening of strength and boundaries. So trying to empower ourselves from within, building inner strength and sort of exploring healthy boundaries. And you might be thinking, well, how on earth are we going to do that on our mats? But I think in yoga we can try things out on our mats that we can then take out into everyday life. So in the live class we've just had an exploration of what strength means to us. So using resilience and perseverance. So we are going to be doing some strength work tonight. So we can use that perseverance to keep going, and we can also be mindful of what that inner critic is saying. So with our topic of last week, being kind to ourselves, when things get a little bit challenging, noticing what thoughts come up. Are we saying kind words of encouragement to push ourselves forward, or are we giving ourselves a hard time? So do watch out for that. And remember that when we're looking at boundaries, I might offer some poses that might feel very much outside of your comfort zone today. So you have to think about where your boundary is today. Where's your physical boundary with what we're doing, and trying to tune into the body so we notice what's the difference between perhaps using muscles and getting that sort of ache because we know we're working that muscle group, and what's the difference between going into pain, so that sharpness, which means we're probably not doing our bodies any good. So just try to bear that in mind, the difference between that perseverance and pushing to a limit that feels okay for us. So we'll start with a little bit of breath work. So whether that's seated or lying down, whichever feels right for you. You could come to lying down if you want to, or you could stay seated on your mat or on the chair. So we just bring ourselves into the present moment. So grounding ourselves into the here and now. We're always building on those classes. So letting go of what's come before, and to let go of what's coming up next, and just being right here, right now, noticing what's going on. So starting with those thoughts, where are our thoughts right now? And then taking a little check-in with the body, a little scan through the body. Perhaps noticing any areas that are pulling our attention, any aches or discomfort. Then maybe focusing on an area of your body where perhaps you feel strong today. Maybe you're sitting tall through the spine and can feel that strength in your back. Perhaps you've already taken on a challenge today that required either physical or mental strength. Is there somewhere within your body that you feel strength this evening? No, it's perfectly okay if we don't. And then let's go a little bit deeper and thinking about how we feel right now. What's our emotional status at the moment? Reminding ourselves that every emotion is welcome. So just allowing whatever is here to come up. And this does definitely take inner strength to just sit with whatever's here. And then bringing our attention to our breath. How are you breathing this evening? Can you feel your breath down in the belly? Or you're breathing up here in the chest? So we can think about building strength in the breath as well. That diaphragm, that's muscle that sits underneath the lungs, is a muscle. So when we're taking those deeper breaths, we're working the diaphragm and starting to build strength in the breath. And when we practice that, then we could start to use the breath when we perhaps need to push through difficult times, when we need to build that resilience or perseverance. But try if you can to really send that breath down into the belly. Maybe you press one hand on the belly. And we're trying to get the belly to expand on the in-breath. And in yoga, we work with something called the chakras, so the sort of energy centers that sit through the body. And where we sort of check in with our inner strength and our power is in our solar plexus, which actually sits just above the belly button. That's sort of where your intuition sits, that gut feeling. Related to confidence, willpower, self-discipline, where we can focus on personal boundaries. So I want you to imagine deep in the belly here, that solar plexus, that you're breathing in a yellow warmth, maybe like the sun today. You're breathing in the warmth of the sun and creating a little bit of fire in your belly. You're breathing it down into the belly. Fiery warmth of the sun. Bright yellow. It can be helpful for us to bring a little bit of mantra, I suppose, with our breath. So as we breathe in that yellow warmth, that fire, we might think about breathing in what it is that we want. What do we want to manifest in our lives? Maybe it's joy, peace, calm, or maybe it's something else. And as we breathe out, we could take slow, long breaths, sort of blowing out through the mouth. A gentle blow. We could imagine letting go of what's not helping us anymore. Or maybe we let go of expectations, maybe expectations of ourselves or other people. Or perhaps we let go of that negative self-talk. Or when we're considering boundaries, maybe we let go of the guilt that we sometimes feel when we set a personal boundary. So imagine when you're breathing in that warmth, that fire, and with it, you're bringing what you want, what you need right now. And as you take that slow breath out, you're letting go of what's just not helping you. Just taking a few more breaths like this. Bringing in what you need and letting go of what you don't need. And it would be great, wouldn't it, if it was just that simple to just breathe it in and what you need and let go of what you don't need. It would be fabulous. But yeah, we need to build a little bit more strength for us to work on that and use other tools to help that. But I think having that mindset of trying to bring in what you want and let go of what you don't want, it can be a really powerful tool to use. Manifestation, we might call it, because we often do focus on all the things that we don't want, and we forget about, well, perhaps if we actually focused on the things we do want, maybe our mindset would be switched towards that. Yeah, if you're into manifestation, I can recommend some books. So we'll come back to that breath at the end of our class. So we shall start by warming up, as we have been in the last few weeks, before we move on to some strength work. I can't really see whether everybody's sat up or whether there's some people lying down, but I'll give both. So as we've done before, let's just take the head from one side to the other. So we can do this laying down or seated. And pay attention to any little cricks in the neck. And then let's bring the chin down to the chest. Stretch through the neck. And back up. And let's really stretch through the body. So if you're laying down, you can make a really long stretch. If you sat up, you can stretch the arms up overhead. If you sat on the floor, you could stretch the legs out in front of you. If you're on the chair, you could do one leg at a time. Really stretching out tall. And then let's take a little bend over to one side. So again, you could still do this laying down. And from one side, back up to centre, and to the opposite side. And back up to centre. If you're sat on the floor, let's bend the knees. And take a little hug of the knees. If you're on the chair, bring the elbows to the thighs and drop the head. If you're laid on the floor, let's squeeze the legs in and take a little bit of a rock. And then I will invite everybody up to a seated position. So if you're on the floor, you could roll onto one side and go up to seated. Or you can rock up if you're feeling energized. And then just put the legs wherever feels comfortable. So if that's out in front, you could have the legs bent. Or we're still sat on the chair, that's fine. And then let's just roll through the shoulders. And just moving through the shoulders. We'll be doing a little bit of strength on the arms. Just mobilising in the shoulders. and in one direction and the opposite direction. And then let's think about taking those shoulders back. So, talked about this last week, didn't we, that most of us need to go backwards rather than forwards. And then let's round. Imagine you're holding on to a big beach ball. There's a little bit of a cat movement, seated cat, opening up, stretching through the chest, and then rounding, belly button pushing towards the spine. So just getting the spine moving, opening one more time, and then let's round again. And coming back to centre. Let's try that, taking the shoulders back again. So we did the arm behind the back, didn't we? So you can either take the arm all the way behind the back, so like this, or that's not happening for us in the shoulders, we can just bring the hand to the waist and try to draw the elbow backwards. So whichever way you are, trying to draw that shoulder backwards. And then let's look down to the floor with the hand that's not out. So for me, that's to the left. And then looking up towards the ceiling on the arm that's behind the back. Down again. Back up. Let's go with one more. Coming down. And back up. And then let's slowly release the arm. You might check in with noticing the difference between the shoulder that you've taken back and the one that you've not done. Let's go the opposite side. So remember, we can be on the hand on the hip or hand behind the back. And then taking the head down towards the hand that's out. And up. Let's go 3 times. And one more. And then bringing the hand back out. Notice how the shoulders feel now. And then, oh yes, we shall do this first before we move on to cat pose. So let's draw the shoulders up. And this time, today, let's do a big ha as we come down. So breathing in, lifting the shoulders up, and then ha, letting go. So breathing in, lifting up, and then ha, letting go. And let's do one more, lifting up, and ha, letting go. That can be a good one to do. You need to just let go of some frustrations. So we're going to do that cat that we just did, but make it slightly more challenging. So if you're on the floor, let's take the feet out in front of us. Remember, we can do this on the chair as well. And then let's open up into cat here. We're using a little bit of that core strength to open the body. And then we can fold the same, like we've got that big beach ball in front of us. Let's go again. Opening up. If at any point, again, it feels like we're going into pain, remember you can relax your legs and just do the arms. But just having the legs bent with the feet flat on the floor helps us to engage that core a little bit more. So if you're on the chair, really think about engaging the core in this movement. Open and close the spine. And then come into rest. So if you sat on the chair, use the elbows and rest the hand into the heads into the hands. I always get that wrong. If you're on the floor, you could have a go at doing a little butterfly and just dropping the head here. But again, if that's not for you, you could be here. So finding a position that works for you. And then slowly coming back up. And we're going to try and fire up that core a little bit more. I'm going to take my socks off so my feet don't slip on this floor much. So with that cat, trying to really sit up tall as we can. And then let's take the hands underneath the thighs. We can do this on the chair as well. Can we just lift one leg off the floor? So just lifting and lowering one leg and then the other. I want you to really think about pulling in at the centre of the body and keeping that balanced central position so we're not tipping over from one side to the other. We're using our core strength to keep the body in balance as we lift one leg and then the other. And do one more and then take that resting pose again. So maybe it's here, maybe it's here. Whatever feels right for us today. And then slowly coming back up again. Let's take the same position again. Core strong. Keeping the back long. And then lifting and lowering one leg. You could even do this from laying down if you prefer to. Just lifting and lowering one leg. Keeping the knee bent. Let's go one more and take that little rest again. I'm going to do 3 sets. So resting either in that butterfly or with the elbows onto the thighs. And then setting ourselves up one more time. So a slight add-on to this, and only doing this if you are on the floor. So if you're on the chair, just keep lifting one leg and then the other. If you're on the floor and you want a little bit of challenge, maybe you can lift both legs. Maybe you can stay lifted in both legs and then maybe tap the toe down towards the ground. So remembering to work at where your body is. Notice whether our physical strength is with us this evening. Notice whether we go into any pain in the back and just change what we're doing. So come back to just lifting and lowering one and then the other. So working at where we are. And then let's rest again. Either in that butterfly or with the hands on the hands in the head. Elbows on the thighs. I'm very much in the stage of perimenopause and words just disappear out of my head. Need to have them like posted up on the wall so I can remember what the words are. And then bringing the legs out. So if you sat on the chair, just keep the knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and let's take some circles there. Going in one direction and then the opposite. Well, welcome if you've joined us or if you've come back in. Thank you, Vicky, sorting out the letting people in. We're just taking some circles on the hip. So making sure you've gone both ways. And then let's come on to all fours if we're on our mats. So coming on to all fours. Maybe take a little bit of a sway from side to side there. On the chair, we can still take those hip circles. So just feeling into that movement, maybe going forwards and back. Before we think about taking that cat movement again on all fours. So going into that happy cat, we're dropping the belly, lifting the tail, lifting the head. So this is our happy cat. So we're trying to move through the spine and then rounding from the base of the spine, coming up into that angry cat. So just going through that at your own pace. So on the chair, sort of to build on that cat movement that we were doing before, we can slide the hands down the legs, coming to a bit of a forward fold, but still trying to really pull that belly in. Remember, we could just be up here as well. We don't have to reach all the way forwards. And then as we come into that happy cat, opening up the arms here. So sliding the hands down into that angry cat. And then coming all the way up into happy cat. Now if you're on all fours, just take a rest off the wrist. We can all take a little circle into the wrist. And we shall do that little twist that we did last week, the threading the needle. So if you're on all fours, if you plant your left hand in the centre line between the legs, and then we're opening up the chest here and threading underneath. So I will demonstrate as well if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But on the chair, we've got the hand onto the thigh. So this is our eye of our needle, and we're opening up to the side, and then we're threading underneath. So we've got a little bit of a twist going on. Let's say do, I don't know, 5 or 6 on each side, and try and go slow and steady. So you're breathing in, opening up, breathing out to close. So hopefully you knew what I was talking about on the floor, that we're in that all fours again, and we're opening up here and then threading underneath. So trying to still keep that core quite strong and the hips steady, so we're not bumping the hips over here and moving all the body around. We're still keeping a bit of base support and trying to open up across the chest, and the bottom half of the body is quite still. So if you need to rest again off that wrist before you swap to the other side, give it a little circle, a stretch, maybe shake it out. And then planting the hand again in the centre line, opening up the chest and threading underneath. Remember, we can use that breath. We can breathe in, open, and breathe out, close. And let's go with one more wherever we are. And again, come into a resting pose. So on the chair, again, might be elbows into the thighs. And it could be on the floor as well. You could be here. Or maybe you want to come into more of a child's pose. So you'd have the toes together, knees apart, and then fold forward there. And you could even use a little bit of support. You could have the elbows on the floor and put the head into the hands here. But just anything that feels restful. And remembering that my restful might not be your restful. So come into a position that feels restful. So we're going to do one more pose in this position. So this is again about switching on the core. So I might be challenging people here a little bit. So when we come into that cat position, we're going to tuck the toes under. You can feel the toes on the mat. I'm going to push through the toes and bring the knees off the mat just about a centimetre. So hovering cat. So really think about pulling in the core here in that hovering cat position. So just try it a few times, coming back down when feels comfortable. On the chair, I will probably say just doing one leg at a time. So just lifting the leg. So lifting the leg, but being really strong in the centre of the body. And do remember to breathe, everybody, as well. And when things get challenging, we start to bring in that strength work. We tend to hold the breath, but try to breathe through it. Just lifting and really pulling in the centre of the body if we're sat on the chair. If we're on the floor, having a go at that hovering cat. And then I'm going to challenge you a little bit more, and in that all fours, think about taking a step perhaps towards a plank. So we've got the knees on the floor, but we're taking our weight over our arms, over our hands. Try to really press into the fingers and maybe turn the hands out a little bit so you're not pressing just into the pad of the hand. So pushing forwards and then coming back. Go into more of a child's pose. Pushing forwards. Pulling in at the centre of the body and taking the body backwards. On the chair, you could stick with just lifting one leg and then lifting the other, or maybe could you take the opposite arm above the head as well as lifting that leg, so a little bit more strength and balance involved there. Remember working at where your body is today. Take a rest when you need it. Know where your personal boundary is. You can bring in a little bit of mantra with it. I am confident, I am strong. As you're doing those poses, I am confident, I am strong. And then taking a rest again, wherever that is for you. Bring my elbows down to my thighs, rest my head. Let everything relax. And then slowly coming back up. If you're on the floor, I'm going to invite you to come up to standing. So just coming up any way that feels okay for you. If you're on the chair and you think, maybe I might challenge myself to do a little bit of standing up, please feel free to do that. Or not for you today, then stay seated. That's okay too. So thinking about how we're stood, we're thinking about that mountain posture, pressing the feet into the floor, maybe lifting those toes and really spreading the toes, pressing them down. Thinking about being strong in that core here. And last week we were working on the salute the sun pose, and we're going to start with that today. So that opening across the back. Remember we said about trying to keep the bottom half of the body strong, as if we were up against a wall and we're trying to open the back rather than sway forwards with the legs. So we're trying to really pull everything in, keep the bottom half of the body strong. I do one this way first. So we're just taking the arms up overhead and a little lean backwards, opening up here. So leaning up and back here and back down. Mountain posture, arms open. Mantra, I am confident, I am strong. And then let's connect with the breath. And let's breathe in, take the arms across the body and lift and open into that salute the sun. And breathe out, let's bring the hands down through heart center back to where they started. So breathing in, lifting and opening, and breathing out. And then back down. Go one more. Breathing in, lifting and opening. And breathing out. So we did add on to this last week, but we're going to add in a little bit more strength with it. We're going to do chair pose, which some people might already know what chair pose is. I'm going to give a little bit of a demo. So as it says chair, it's like we're going to sit down into a chair. But again, we want to think about that strength, about pulling in at the centre of the body, about when we take that bend, that I'm wobbling over, that our knees are not going forwards over the feet, that was coming down, like our bottom's going to sit down into a chair, but we still want to be pulling in here at the centre of the body. If we don't, if I relax my belly and I go like this, and I've got this big hollow in my lower back, and it hurts my lower back really, whereas if I pull in everything here, then it really helps to protect that lower back. Then I'd take my arms out sort of 45 degrees in front, keeping my shoulders down, so I don't normally reach forward because then my shoulders go up. I more have that beach ball here. But maybe our chairs are here today, or maybe they're even here. So we're still working, we're still pulling in the core. So it's wherever we feel comfortable. Maybe our knees are not so great at the moment. So think about where your chair pose is. You can keep having a little go at it if you want. Or you can just relax and have a little bit of a wobble out. I cannot get words today. Shake is the word I was looking for. A little bit of a shake out. I was just going to say on the chair, we can do a similar thing, because we've got to really, really press the feet down into the floor, which then starts to activate the thighs. We're still pulling at the core. We can tense through the glutes, and we can take that top half of the body forward. So again, that 45-degree angle. But do make sure that you feel really strong on your feet when you take that lean forwards. So we're going to stay on the chairs. That's our chair pose if we're seated. So we're going to put the sun salute and the chair together. So let's take the arms out again, the side. Take a breath. Remind ourselves that we are confident and strong. Next breath in, let's breathe in and open up. And then breathe out. Let's bring the hands through heart center and then come forwards into that chair pose. Let's take a breath here. And then let's breathe in, lift up again so we can open up again into that sun salute. And then come back through heart center. So we sort of do salute the sun, chair, salute the sun, back to mountain. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's try again. Next breath in. Let's breathe in. Open up into sun salute. Breathe out through the center of the body and then coming up into chair pose. And then lifting up back into sun salute. Coming down the center of the body and back to mountain. Let's go one more time. Breathing in, lifting up. Breathing out, hands back down. And then up into chair pose. Take a breath here. Next breath in, opening up. And breath out. All the way back down. And then just take a little pause there. Tune in to your strength. How are you feeling now? Remember what we said about boundaries and saying no. Is this a yes or a no? So we've got our sun salute, we've got our chair pose, and then we've got our warrior one. Remember, we've on those train tracks. So we're taking one foot behind us. We've still got the hips facing forwards. We're checking in with that back knee. How does it feel? We're planting down into the feet and we're trying to draw those thighs together. So we activate through the thighs. Just a reminder as well on the chair. So we can have the leg out here to the side. If it's quite tricky to straighten it, it can be bent as well. So we could be here. So that's our warrior one. So just take a little wriggle, jiggle out. And then let's build on that. I'm just thinking about the time and whether we put the next one on together as well. Yes, I think we will. So we're gonna as well as that warrior one, we're then gonna add in the salute the sun, and we're gonna do a little twist as well. Just follow me. I'm sure it'll be fine. So sun salute in that mountain posture to start. Connecting with the breath. Let's breathe in, open up, salute the sun. Breathing out, coming back down. Breathing in, coming into that chair pose. Take a breath here. And then opening again into that sun salute. Hands back down through heart center. And then let's step back into warrior one. And then let's open into that sun salute here. Opening, so keep those legs strong. It's a bit of a balance. Coming back through heart center. And then whichever leg you've got in front, let's twist towards that leg. Take a breath in that twist. Coming back to center, let's stretch and open up again into that sun salute. Hands back down to center. And then can we get a little bit of a balance in here? So really pull in at the center of the body, lift that back leg, and then slowly float it back into our starting position. So when we're on the chair, we can have that leg out to the side and we can try and lift to bring it back into center. Okay, I'm going to do the other side on the chair so people that are still seated get the full how it might look on the chair. So I'm hoping that everybody stood up and can go through that. So mountain, seated mountain or standing mountain to start with. Let's breathe in, open up into that sun salute. Breathe out, arms coming back down through center. And then sweeping forwards into that chair pose. Pushing the feet into the floor, connecting through the core, breath in. And then let's lift and open again into that salute the sun. Bringing the hands back through heart center and then stepping out to the back or to the side if we're on the chair into that warrior one. And then next breath in, let's come up into that salute the sun again. And back to the center. Let's twist towards that front leg. And coming back to center, opening up again into that salute the sun. Bringing the hands back down to heart center, pushing into that front leg. And we go into a little bit of a balance to bring that leg back together. And then taking a moment there. Hands pressing together. I am confident, I am strong. Maybe take a moment to notice what's coming up for you. Has this perhaps pushed you out of your comfort zone? Or maybe it's the other way around and you were hoping for faster movements and something different. Can we drop all our expectations and just be here with what has been offered this evening? And then again, take a little wriggle out, a little bit of movement. And let's come into a forward fold. So I'd probably say take the legs wide if you're stood up. You could do that on the chair as well. Remember again about balance. And we could have something in front of us to support, or we could just bring the hands to the thighs, drop the head, and just forward fold here. Could do that stood up as well, she says, falling over. Or maybe you let the hands dangle, you let the head be heavy, and you just let everything go here. I'm just taking steady breath and then bending into the knees if you stood up, coming all the way up to standing. Let everything settle. Bring the legs back together. Maybe have a little bit of a wriggle out again. And we're going to do one more sort of pose stood up. So this is again quite a grounding posture, but good for standing in your power, your strength, good for building up physical strength, but also claiming your power. It's called goddess pose, which is basically a squat, So you've got the feet sort of turned out on a bit of a 45-degree angle, and if you go back into a squat, it's more of a straight down action. I always say, we are ballet dancers, we are not twerking. So the bum don't go out, we sink down like ballet dancers. And check in with yourself with your posture. If your knees are going in, turn the toes inwards. If you're really going for it, we don't really again want the knees over the toes. So just think about how you stood, and you want to be really pulling in at the centre of the body. So again, we can do a similar thing on the chair. Take the legs as wide as feels comfortable, but be really tall in the spine and really pulling in at the centre of the body. Really, really pressing the feet down into the floor and pulling in the buttocks, the glutes. That's more the word I was looking for, glutes. So goddess pose. Oh, if you've held it, have a little bit of a shake out. We're going to do it with a little bit of a flow and build our mantra with it as well. So we have that little bit of a basket with the hands like we did last week, but we're keeping them in front of the body. And we're going to bring the arms up to the throat and then down to the belly. And when we come down into that goddess. We take the arms up overhead, or we could have them in front of the face if it's too much of a stretch. And then come back out of the goddess as we bring the arms back down. So it's a 2-breath movement. So we breathe in and then breathe out down into our goddess. Breathe in, arms overhead, and then breathe out. So breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. We could build that mantra with it. So maybe breathing in, I am, and then down, confident. Breathing in, I am, strong. Or maybe you choose different words. So breathing in, I am, confident. I am, strong. Or perhaps we breathe in, confidence. Breathe in, strength. Do one more. Breathe in, confidence. Breathe in, strength. And then let's let go of that. Have a little bit of a wiggle again. So you could imagine if you were having to do something perhaps where you needed some perseverance, or maybe you're feeling anxious about something, that if you took that grounded position with that breath and that mantra, how it might transform what happened next. So maybe practice it and give it a go the next time you need it. Right, let's bring it back down to the floor again. So if you come into the mat, let's go onto our backs. If not, we can stay on the chair, and I shall demonstrate different poses we can have a go at. So if you come onto your back, let's just take that windscreen wiper from one side to the other. And remember, on the chair, it's probably should have said this earlier, much better to go with the waist rather than trying to move the legs. But it's a good one to practice in bed, that windscreen wiper. I do it most mornings, actually. It really does help my back. Pricks it out a bit. And I think we'll have one more strength pose before we come to relax. So it's called the dead bug. So on the floor, I will have to do it on the floor first. If we press the lower back into the floor, so we've got the whole of the back flat into the floor, could we lift one leg and see if you can lift both legs and then arms as well? Can you still keep that lower back in contact with the floor? If it's too tricky, then just do one leg at a time. So just do one leg at a time. So have a go at that. Relax when you need to. So keep going in and out of it. So again, on the chair, we could have the arms out with that beach ball. And then could we lift one leg at a time? So just lifting one leg and then the other. So you want to be really, really pulling in the core, especially on the mat, really pressing that lower back into the floor. Now they're doing both legs at once. Looks more like robot on the chair, doesn't it, rather than the dead bug. And then relax again and take that twist. So on the mat, just windscreen wipering the legs from side to side, on the chair, doing the waist. And then let's drop those knees out to the side with the feet together, so into butterfly pose. So you've got the soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. So we can do that on the chair in that butterfly position. Or like this on the floor. So the soles of the feet together, knees out. And then slowly drawing them back together. Maybe give each leg a shake or have any last sort of movement and wriggles that your body needs before you come to a position to relaxing. So maybe we're staying seated today, or maybe we're laid down. And as we come into our relaxation, let's check in with ourselves again. How are we feeling right now? Where are our thoughts? What's going on in my body? Is there anything niggling me that I need to move so that I can fully relax? Perhaps checking in with that strength again. Where did I feel strength in my body in this class? Perhaps you surprised yourself. And then connecting back with that breath. And to breathe down into the belly, into that solar plexus. our center of intuition, our gut feeling, our center of confidence and boundaries. Can you bring all your attention here? The belly, just above the navel. As you breathe into this area. Let's bring that visualization back in. Imagining that bright yellow of the fiery sun. Can you breathe that sun into your belly? And as you breathe out, can you send that warmth, that sunlight down into your feet? With each breath in, that fire, that warmth at the belly glowing stronger. And as you breathe out, you're sending it round the rest of the body, sending it down into the legs. Breathing in that bright light, center of the body, and breathing it out down into the hips, pelvis, until the whole of the lower body is bathed in this bright sunshine, this liquid sunshine. You keep breathing it in, radiating it from that solar plexus, from the center of your body. And as you breathe out, it fills down your arms to the ends of your fingertips. It keeps filling up until all the arms are filled with this bright energy all the way to the shoulders. You continue to fill the body until all of the chest is radiating with this bright yellow, fiery sunshine. We send our attention to the back of the body, making sure the whole of the back of the body, the lower spine, the back of the ribs, the upper spine is completely filled with this bright sunshine, glowing light. We keep breathing this light in our solar plexus, our belly, until the whole of the body is radiating. The whole of the body, the head, the face, the very crown of the head is radiating with this liquid sunlight. The whole of your body glowing with this bright energy. You keep sending it out from the center of the body. You might imagine That as you filled the whole of the body, you start to send out this energy around you. It might be glowing out of your fingers, out of your head, out of your toes. These bright beams of light surrounding your whole body and beyond it. Maybe it's a boundary, sort of protected barrier that's all the way around the outside of you. A bright energy that only you let in whatever you want, whatever serves you. So just bringing your attention back inwards again, back into the centre of the body, the belly. Maybe letting go of this visualization, but just still focusing our attention down into the belly. We just rest here. Knowing that to have that resilience, that perseverance, that pausing and resting needs to be part of our self-care. We're just taking a moment here. As we come to the end of our time together, maybe pondering on our reflection question this evening. Where do I need stronger boundaries? Where do I need stronger boundaries? And that might seem like a very big question, but you could bring it down. Maybe you even need stronger boundaries with yourself, with that self-talk, with that critical voice. Perhaps you need stronger boundaries with your self-care. Or maybe stronger boundaries with the no, when people put things on you that you just don't really want to do. Maybe you take some time to journal that later. Remember, it's all optional. But where do I need stronger boundaries? Remember, if you've got yourself in a really comfortable place and you want to stay there, you're quite welcome to just switch us off. If you want to come back round with us, let's check in one last time by bringing that hand to our head. Where are my thoughts right now? Bringing your hand to your heart center. How do I feel right now? And then bringing that hand back down to that solar plexus, that intuition. What do I need right now? And then start to get a little bit more movement into the body. Maybe moving the fingers and the toes. If you're laid down, think about what you want to move next. Do you want to rock? Do you want to stretch? If you sat on the chair, what might feel nice now? I feel like I need to roll my shoulders. I feel like I need to stretch my back. So feeling into movement. Remember, this yoga practice is all about connecting. And then let's finish our practice together by taking that little energy rub and heat into the hands. And then let's take that energy, that heat into the eyes. Take a big breath in. And slow breath out. And then bringing our hands down to heart center. Let's go into this week's challenger, perhaps with those words of, I am confident, I am strong. And see how that might change how we take on the challenges of the week. So thank you for joining me. Namaste.